promise that you'll catch me.
Hey guys, Jazz back with another video. In this video, we're gonna go over the my top 5 running backs in the NFL. I want to make this a little serious, so we'll probably do top 5 wide receivers, quarterbacks, offensive linemen, defensive players. I don't know how you guys want me to do the like defensive and offensive linemen. You want me to just do all offensive linemen, specific positions, like top 5 at each specific position, just broadly top 5 defensive linemen, top 5 pass rushers, top 5 coverage linebackers, I would rather do it like that than just go specifically top 5 left tackles, top 5, like nobody really wants to see right guards, so you'll probably just be like top 5 offensive linemen, something like that brought over. So again, while you're watching this video, download, leave like what you think the top 5 running backs are, which position you would like me to do a top 5 on next. So let's pretty much get into the video of the top 5 running backs in the NFL. LeSean McCoy. LeSean McCoy is the number 5 running back on my list. He is a very consistent, balanced running back. Probably the best juking and cutting running back we have in the NFL. Even at his age, he's already up in age. He's about to turn, what, 30 years old this offseason. So he is on the tail end of his career. He is on the downside. But he's still one of the shiftiest backs we have in the NFL, especially for all down back. There's shifty backs who are like, you know, sub players who only play in certain packages, who only get a few carries that are really shifty and juke and can really juke. But for the main ball carrier, I still believe he's probably the best shifty back we have in the NFL right now. And as you can take a look at his stats, he's been very consistent. A lot of 1,000-yard seasons. He's not like the biggest touchdown, but he's had some big years with 17 touchdowns and stuff like that. I mean, 17 touchdowns is more than like Beast Mode ever had. Beast Mode never had 17 rushing touchdowns, but he has had some years that he didn't have too many touchdowns. But that's not what he is. He's more of a shifty. He's not really a goal line back. So a lot of his other running backs actually stole a lot of his touchdowns because they were bigger backs that they used in the goal line. So he wasn't one that was asked to get a lot of rushing touchdowns, but he was always a decent receiving back as well, and he's been very consistent. I still think he's top 5. He might be, you know, on the tail end. So there's a lot of running backs that are right there, like on the nipping at his heels already, because there's some really good shifty backs that are coming up in the NFL right now. But I still lock in with LeSean McCoy at number 5. Number 4 is Ezekiel Elliott. Still one of the best running backs in the league. I know he had kind of, you know, with the suspension and stuff, didn't have the biggest year this year. And he wasn't as good as he was his rookie season. But again, I don't think the offensive line was as good as it was his rookie year. And that's one thing why he's kind of a little bit down. I know a lot of Cowboys fans, he's the best running back in the league. Yeah, just leave those. He's not the best running back in the league. That's not even close, okay? But one thing a lot of people look at is that he's played on really good offensive line. So he has had it easier than some of the other running backs on this list. But he is a really good back. He's still young, 22 years old. I mean, one thing he needs to improve on a little bit more is his receiving. He's not a bad receiving running back, but that's one place that he lacks. When you look at the guys in the top 3, they're all guys who put up pretty big receiving yard numbers. So that's one thing he needs to improve on, in my opinion, to take him to that next level. And with the offensive line next year, I mean, they should run the ball a lot. He's probably going to have the biggest like rushing yard numbers out of all these guys because he has the best offensive line out of all these guys in the top 5, but his receiving stats are a little bit lacking. So again, he is a really good back. We're going to look at his stats real quick. All right, so you can look at his stats like his first year. I mean, it was a great year. The offensive line was crazy. He had 5.1 yards per carry. He had, like I said, he only had like 300 something receiving yards, which is pretty good. This year, he's about on pace. If he would have played all 16 games, maybe like 400 receiving yards. But his yards per carry was way down. His touchdowns were down. So, like I said, he had a good year. He's a good running back. Have him at number 4. We'll see next year what a full season looks like. But the other guys are just a little bit better just because of their receiving prowess. And they're just, I think, a little bit more explosive of running backs than Zeke is. Even though Zeke is explosive. But I think they have a different gear than Zeke Elliott. David Johnson. I have David Johnson at number 3 because he put up some really good stats his first 2 years. I mean, last year he had a really good year, and I think he was going to just take his game to the next level. Sadly, he did get injured first game of the year, so he wasn't able to, you know, put up the numbers, any type of numbers this year. But just by pure talent and just physical attributes and what he's already accomplished, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. I think he's the most explosive in this top 5 in terms of like acceleration and speed, just pure speed down the hill. I think David Johnson is the best. He's not as shifty as the other guys, even though he does get a little shifty, but I think he's just more pure acceleration and speed than everybody else in the top 5. He can catch, he can run, he can do it all. He can pass block. He's really good at everything. He needs to fix a little bit of his fumbling issue. He does have fumbling issues. There's a couple of guys in the top 5 with fumbling issues that will take him to that next level, but they got to clean that up. But yeah, he's really good, and he's put up some pretty good numbers in his first 2 years. As you can see, this is his stats. Like, the fumbling problem is the issue. He had 5 fumbles the year before. In one game, he had 2 fumbles in the only game he played that he got hurt in. So again, he's put up some really good rushing numbers, but his receiving stats is what separates him. I think he's probably one of the best receiving backs. He's right there with LeVeon Bell in receiving. I mean, he had 800 receiving yards last year, which is crazy. So like I said, if he puts in one whole year where he is the stud or whatever, he's going to put up, I think, some close to record-breaking yards from scrimmage numbers that he's going to be putting up. So I'm really looking forward to a healthy 2018 for David Johnson, see what he can actually do. Because if he would have stayed healthy this year, he could have easily been the #1 running back on this list. He has that type of talent. So I'm really looking forward to a healthy 2018 season. But again, like these top 4 players, a lot of people could switch them around. You would go from the 4, some people have 1, the 3. Like, this is just my list, but this guy has talent out of this world. I'm really looking forward to 2018 for David Johnson. Todd Gurley. I have Todd Gurley at #2. I know a lot of people like a homer pick. You're probably going to have him #1, this, that. I was actually going to have him #3. I did a late switch and put him up just because I noticed that David Johnson also has the fumbling problem. Because I know Todd Gurley has a fumbling problem recently. So I was going to mark him down and actually put an injured player from last year ahead of him. But once I saw he fumbled a lot, I was like, I think I'm going to put Todd Gurley just because he has more recent success. And they're pretty much similar player. I think they're really good receiving backs. They probably have the 2 top end speed. Like, Gurley has a really burst. I think David Johnson might have a little bit more acceleration, but top end speed, I believe they're both right there as from the top 5 as the fastest running backs out there. He had a really great year. He would have led the NFL in rushing as well, but he didn't play the last game of the season. Rams sat all the starters, so he had a great season. He was Offensive Player of the Year this year, so Todd Gurley had a really great year. And again, now he's in a better system that's actually featuring all his skills better than playing under the last regime of the coaches who were some of the worst offensive coaches out there. So, I mean, you saw the difference between 1 year, how the Rams were one of the worst offensive teams to one of the best offensive teams like that. And it was mostly the coaching changes. And it really allowed Todd Gurley to show all his talents. I know a lot of people want to put these rookies and stuff up here. I'm not going to put somebody just 1 year and put them in the top 5. I mean, you have to have some type of, stats, and you have to have some type of body of work before I put you. But there are some there's a lot of good rookie running backs from this year that are going to make the top 5 next year for sure. So just be mindful of that I'm not just going to put the rookies up there unless they have like a 2,000-yard season. Then obviously I'll put them at the top 5. But there are some rookie running backs that are just going to be working their way up these lists easily. LeVeon Bell. I have LeVeon Bell as the #1 running back in the NFL because of his body of work. I do think that I would probably think that Gurley will surpass him this year because they're very similar backs. I think just Gurley is just a faster version of LeVeon Bell. So I do think that this year I probably will supplant LeVeon Bell as the best running back with Todd Gurley. But his body of work speaks for itself. He's been doing this for years, putting up great numbers receiving and running. He actually goes out and plays wide receiver. David Johnson does that a lot. Gurley still hasn't done that much of actually splitting out as a wide receiver. He's done that a little bit, but not as much as LeVeon Bell and David Johnson do that. And that's what separates them. But I think Gurley's top end speed is basically the same player. But LeVeon Bell is the most patient running back in the NFL. You guys know he'll just sit there, wait, stud. Like, his running style is like no other. I really like his running style. He changed his body and his running style away from college. Because when he was at Michigan State, he was a bigger back. He was a bruising back. He was a big bruising back. And he lost weight, became a shiftier, more of a pass-catching running back when he came to the NFL. At Michigan State, he didn't show that shiftiness and he didn't show that breakaway speed that he's done in the NFL. But obviously with different systems and stuff, they allow you to show different part of your skills. And he actually changed his body completely from when he was at Michigan State. And this is his stats for his career. Like I said, he's put up some good numbers. Always, you know, he's got good yards per carry usually, decent touchdowns. He's a really consistent running back. But like I said, there's a lot of beastly running backs clipping at his heels. Gurley, Zeke are going to be clipping. And there's a lot of young running backs that are coming. We got Leonard Fournette. We got Kamara, I believe, is going to be the truth. I mean, the guy, what did he have? Like 800 receiving yards this year as a part-time player? If he ever becomes the full featured back, look for Alvin Kamara to put up some insane numbers. If I have one player for fantasy football next year, and just in general for a player to like take his, I mean, he was offensive player of the year this year, so it's not like he's a hidden thing. But I think he has a real potential. A lot of people like that Leonard Fournette to catapult. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be the one to catapult into the top 5. If I had to bet on one of the rookies, it would probably be Alvin Kamara just because of his receiving stats. Like, he already putting them up. And if he becomes more of a feature back at the running and then gets even more chances at catching, he should put up some filthy numbers this year. So if you guys are into fantasy football, he's probably going to be high, though, because his receiving backs are usually higher in terms of fantasy football. So look for Alvin Kamara to be really high and Alvin Kamara to jump into this top 5. I really like Alvin Kamara. Like I said, this is just my top 5 list of running backs. Really good, solid list. Let me know you guys thought on my list. Let me know your personal list how you would rank the top 5. Let me know what positions you want me to rank next. That is pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. Till next time, guys.